Welcome back, everybody, to episode 6 of the Cranjis podcast. Thank you so much for being here. This week, we're talking about the power of words. And that's because I genuinely believe that most people on this earth massively underestimate the power that words can have on yourself, on other people, and that's in positive and negative ways. And so I wanted to talk about how you can change the words in your vocabulary, you can change the words that are processed in your brain in order to create a better life and a more positive life and more life full of gratitude. Now, saying all that, I did want to start with hate and negativity. Now, words obviously are a massive part of hate and negativity. It affects people being bullied, it affects your everyday life, right? It affects anything online, in person. However, you can decide what words you let into your brain and the meaning of them. You see, words only have as much meaning as you choose to give them. That's a fact. Okay, it's science. Words only have as much meaning as you choose to give them. For example, if someone is spreading hate and they're being negative towards you, let's say somebody insults you, okay? Let's say somebody says, "Oh, your hair looks shit," or "Yeah, your hair looks shit. I preferred it how it was before." If you go home and fucking cry about the fact that your hair looks shit now, or you let that get to you in any way, or even if it's just a small thought in your mind, and you're slightly disappointed by that or affected by it, what someone has done there is open their mouths to make a noise, to make sound come out of their mouth, and you have let it affect your emotional state presently and in the future, and even affect the choices you make. That is crazy, because maybe you're going to cut your hair now or whatever, right? So by someone opening their mouth and making noises in a certain pattern, that's changed your emotional state for the worse in a negative way, and that is just absurd to me. Is that not crazy? That sounds fucking crazy, because it is. That is absurd. So by people being negative, you've chosen to give power to those words, negative power to those words, and now it's impacted you in some ways, affected you in a negative way, right? So that all comes from you. And if instead someone says, "Oh, your dress sense is fucking awful," it could be things a lot worse than this. It could be things way worse than this. But the point is, if someone says an insult to you, those words don't mean anything yet until you put meaning on them. And if you're choosing to put negative meaning on them, that's up to you. If someone insults me, because I've been working on this a lot, if someone insults me or says something negative to me, I just give no meaning to those words, and then it doesn't affect anything. It doesn't affect my emotional state. And yeah, sometimes I'm not perfect, so sometimes I'll still think about these things. But I'm really trying to eliminate that from my life, and you can eliminate all negativity from your life just from doing that simple step. Now, on the flip side, you can do the same thing with positivity. The only difference is, in order to be positive, you don't just have to have this made-up positive thinking that comes from nowhere, right? Or from watching motivational videos online. You introduce logic, okay? Because what you look for, you'll find. That is something Jimmy Carr said. It's a great quote from Jimmy Carr. What you look for, you'll find. So if you use logic and you look for the positive things, and this is science, this is all tested, tried and tested. If you look for the positive things, if you use positive words, you reinforce your identity. You reinforce a positive identity. Okay, so for example, if you're just being positive and it's only going to get you so far because you're lying to yourself, you're trying to trick your brain. However, if you use logic and you genuinely believe that that's going to make you think in a more positive way, then it will, because that is science. For example, Tony Robbins has this quote where he says, "You don't experience life, you experience the life you focus on." And this is where the science comes in. Because have you ever had it where you buy something or you research something new that you didn't know before, and then you start seeing it everywhere? That's not magic. That's because you've trained your attention. That's logic. You've trained your attention now, even subconsciously, to now focus on those things. It's like, you've probably heard that analogy where you're driving down the road, you get home, and someone asks you, "How many red cars did you see?" And you have no idea, right? But if they asked you that before the journey, I'm going to ask you when you get home how many red cars you saw. You're going to be counting the red cars. You're going to see them all. And that's reinforcing your identity, right? And you can do that with positivity and you can do it with negativity. So you can deflect the negative ones by not giving those words meaning, and you can reinforce the positive ones by only looking for the positive ones. What you look for, you'll find. You don't experience life, you experience the life you focus on. Okay? Now, to go deeper into the positive ones, into positivity and positive reinforcement, you don't just have to focus on positive words that you hear, right? You can actually implant positive words into your vocabulary, and that's going to change your mindset completely. As soon as you start reinforcing your beliefs with words that are coming from your mouth, that's going to change the game entirely, right? Because you're reinforcing your identity through your own words. And this is science as well. Through spoken word, through positive words instead of negative words, you're going to win more than lose. Charlie Rocket has this, and if you don't know who Charlie Rocket is, research him right now. He's insane. Go on any podcast he's been on. Charlie Rocket has changed my life. He says how abracadabra, right? Abracadabra means, it's Latin for as I speak, I create, or I create as I speak, right? And that is saying, if I speak it, it comes into existence because I'm speaking these positive things, which reinforces it and attracts these things into my life that are positive. If I'm there saying, I'm unlucky or nothing works for me, your brain scans the world for proof. Your brain wants you to be right, okay? Your brain filters reality to match your words. Your brain doesn't like being proved wrong, so it scans the whole world for proof to back up your point. So if you're saying you're unlucky, your brain's going to scan reality, scan the world for all the bad things, okay, just to reinforce the fact that you're unlucky because it wants to be right. However, if you change that to I'm so lucky, or failure is feedback, or everything always works for me, your brain scans for opportunities and solutions and looks for all the positive things. Okay, abracadabra. I create as I speak. It's not positive thinking, it's cognitive filtering. It's literally science. It's training your brain to filter the correct words instead of filter the negative ones. Okay, like your brain wants to avoid internal friction. It doesn't want to prove itself wrong. So you implementing and implanting positive words into your vocabulary, your brain's going to reinforce those words. But if you put negative words in, it's going to reinforce those. Okay, so you get to choose just by changing what you say. And if you say something negative, always correct it. Always correct it. This is something I've found. I found this out just through trial and error and experience. But if you say something negative and you catch yourself out in that moment, you have to correct it. You have to change that to a positive thing. For example, if you forget your phone and you go, oh, fuck's sake, I always fucking do something wrong, like that. For example, maybe less swear words. But if you've caught yourself in that moment, you said, shit, I need to improve. So now say out loud, oh, I forgot my phone. It's all right, and maybe I'll be able to look for something else in the house when I go back, or I'll grab a bite to eat when I get back. I don't know. Find something positive, and it doesn't... There is positivity in every single situation, by the way. And even if you can't find it, that thing has happened for a reason. And if you've heard of the burnt toast theory, you know what, I'm not going to get into the burnt toast theory right now, but look up the burnt toast theory. And if you think something negative has happened to you, and you can't find the positive reason behind it, no matter how hard you try, just research the burnt toast theory. That will change your life as well. Your words reinforce your identity. Okay, identity drives behavior, and behavior drives results. Your words impact your identity impacts your belief. No, your words impact your belief impacts your identity impacts your behavior, and your behavior impacts your results. Okay, so it's those 5 things: words, belief, identity, behavior, results. You change one of those things, it changes the next, and you change the next, and you change the next, and you change the next, ending in changing your behavior, and therefore changing your results to more positive results, okay? I did want to talk about logic versus delusion, because if you're looking for positivity and you're really struggling, then introduce logic, right? We talked about that. However, I think there is a certain stage where logic has a limit in providing a more positive mindset. And that's where logic versus delusion comes in. Now, delusion has all these negative connotations. It's a word with negative connotations and bad rep for some reason, okay? And it's not until I started watching Charlie Rocket where he talks about being a delusional optimist. That's changed my life because now I see myself as a delusional optimist. Delusion isn't necessarily a bad thing. It means thinking how normal people don't, okay? Logic is brilliant. Logic shapes a healthier and clearer and more valuable outlook, okay, if you use logic to reflect all the positivity in the world. However, I do believe, personally, that logic can only get you so far. And that's exactly where delusion comes in. I think delusion means you ignore reality. And as soon as you ignore reality, as soon as you can ignore everything you've been taught, everything you've ever learned in school, in politics, from your parents, if you can ignore reality, even the things you see and are observing every day in the world, people going to work, everything, okay, anything, as soon as you can ignore reality entirely, you can start creating your own, and you can attempt what rational people won't. And that is delusion. Delusion allows you to attempt what rational people won't. Logic won't get you there because logic is based off evidence. And delusion doesn't need evidence because it means you can be the first one. You can think for yourself. You could become the first one. If something's never been done, logic's probably going to say, probably can't be done. No one's ever done it. Delusion goes, oh, I'm going to be the first. Fuck that, that's brilliant. That's an opportunity for me. So that's where delusional optimism comes in. So, the power of words is a choice. Words only hold as much meaning as you choose to give them, right? So, hate and negative words, don't give them any meaning. As soon as you give them meaning, that's when you can be affected by them. So just don't give them any meaning. It's literally as simple as it sounds, and it's so useful to avoid all the negative things in your life. It will help you become more grateful and just more happy in life in general. And it's worked for me over these past few weeks where I've really been trying to hone it in. Same goes for positivity and logic. Reinforce your identity through positive words, okay? Say positive words. Say, I can do this. Say, it will work. Say, it just takes time, but I'm getting there, or I'm so lucky. And you will attract luck into your life. You will attract more love into your life. You will attract more joy and happiness into your life. And you can attract luck. Luck is something, and I'll talk about this in another podcast for sure, because there's so much more detail I can go into with luck. But luck is something you can attract, and that's through putting yourself in the right rooms and through putting yourself in positions where luck can be attracted, right? And that's usually through positive reinforcement. Well, every time it's through positive reinforcement. So, implant positive words into your vocabulary, into your whole arsenal of vocabulary. And you're going to see your life change for the better. You will be happier. Tony Robbins says you will be happier if you focus on these three things, okay? Focusing on what you have instead of what you don't have. Focusing on what you can control instead of what you can't control. And focusing on the now, the present, instead of the past. Okay, the second and third kind of go hand in hand, which I noticed, but it's still true either way. Focus on what you have instead of what you don't have, and what you can control instead of what you can't control, and live in the now rather than the past. Okay, that's going to give you a much more grateful, happy life. Okay, so your brain wants to avoid internal friction, so don't let the friction happen. Just think positive and attract the positive things. Your words aren't magic, but they are logical. Okay, they are logical. Abracadabra. I create as I speak. So speak these things into existence because your words hold so much more meaning and so much more power than you realize. And that's not just to other people, it's to yourself internally. And you have to speak them out loud. It's like when you write things down, it gets more embedded in your brain. You have to do that with your words too. Speak it out loud and it's going to change your life, okay? Because your words reinforce identity, your identity reinforces behavior, and behavior impacts your results, okay? Behavior will change your results, but to get there, it's words, belief, identity, behavior, then results, okay? Logic only gets you so far. Be a delusional optimist. It's okay to be delusional, and if someone calls you delusional, just smile. Just smile and be like, fuck yeah, I'm delusional. And when people start calling you delusional, that's when you know you're going to be the happiest person in this world, because you've reached something that most people don't. And by most people, I mean 99.9% of the population, because people don't understand the power of words. And it's not manifestation. Manifestation works in lots of ways, yes, but this isn't manifestation. This is science. This is logic. This is delusion, okay? You speak it into existence. Positive reinforcement. Don't fight with your brain. Just teach your brain. Thanks for listening, guys. This is quite a short one, but I love talking about this. I love talking about the power of words, because it's such an interesting concept to me, that just speaking and the vocabulary we choose to use can impact our lives so much, and it impacts how you perceive the world, and it can completely eliminate any negativity from your life that's coming in externally, right? If someone's aiming negativity at you, that just gets deflected as soon as you stop giving negative words meaning, and that's so powerful. Being able to easily deflect negativity and attract positivity. Sorry, I'll say that again. Being able to easily deflect negativity and attract positivity is a life-changing trait to have. And you can do it just through spoken word, just through reinforcing your identity through positive words and vocabulary. So think about it. Try and implement it into your life. Remember to implant all these positive words throughout this next week, and then just keep progressing. Speak things out loud. Okay? Attract the luck, attract happiness, attract positivity, and come back for episode 7 next week. Love you guys for watching this. Thanks for being here. If you've got any questions or comments about this or a past podcast or even a future podcast, please drop it in the comments right now. Drop a like on it. You know what? I don't care about the like, but fucking drop a comment if you have a question, and I'll answer it in the next podcast. So thanks for being here, guys. Love you all. Appreciate you. See you next week.